So I'm going to talk today about 5G data management. We also were looking at how do we manage the data on top of the secure platform as we introduce new use cases and new types of devices to the 5G network. So when 5G was introduced, it also was introduced with many new use cases. So for example, things like healthcare and sensors, and besides the traditional smartphone use case, we were also wanting to support these kind of use cases, and those also bring more kinds of data to the network, which we want to be able to protect and look at issues like data governance and data provenance. So first, before we look at the actual data management platform, we just want to review some of the new features of security features that 5G brought on top of the solid security that 4G provides. So the first thing it produced was a more flexible framework. So allowing you to support new types of devices and new types of deployments, we introduced features like unified authentication for 3GPP and non-3GPP access, a security anchor function, and network slicing to allow you to have more flexibility in how you deploy the network in terms of security from a security perspective. In addition to providing you this more flexible framework, we also introduce this tighter security to the device itself. So allow you to introduce things like user plane integrity protection to make sure the data itself was not being modified, as well as allowing you to have lower trust for the device in the serving networks. We also introduced subscription credentials in a secure hardware element to make sure to allow you to have more varied form factors for the device. Finally, we introduced enhanced privacy to eliminate communication of unprotected device-specific information, making it more difficult for you to track the device as it moved around the network. So as part of the data management platform, we introduced three areas that we focused on. One is the actual data ownership, the other is data provenance, and finally data governance. So data ownership is basically establishing an ownership structure for the data. So establishing a relationship between the user of the device or the owner of the device and the device itself, and defining a structure to allow the owner to manage the data. The data provenance is establishing a single version of the facts. So this device produced this data in this place at this time and signing it so that there was a secure manner in which we can then track how this data is and make sure the data is actually real. Finally, data governance then is controlling and management access of the data, so allowing you to decide who gets to access the data and providing an audit trail to know if any of the data, for example, has been modified. So how does this work in practice? So you start off with the owner of the device, and we introduced this new framework called this ownership management platform, where the ownership management platform is used to establish ownership of the device. So the owner will register the device on the platform and register themselves on the platform to establish a relationship with this platform to ensure a secure control of the device. When the device is ready to produce data, then the data is stored on a new data management platform. The data management platform is separate from the ownership management platform because they scale differently. And so the data then is stored on the data management platform, and the ownership management platform will then verify the actual authenticity of this device, of this data as it is stored. Then when you introduce a third party, this consumer, the owner of the device then authorizes the consumer to access the device, as well as providing a policy to the data management platform to allow the platform to basically release the data to this consumer. So the idea is also to separate the data. So certain devices may be relevant to your doctor, certain devices may be relevant to your health, your trainer, your personal trainer, and so that we've separated the data and allow it to be managed in a way that you can basically partition these things and allow different access to different data to different parties. So what are the tools that we use to basically do this management? So as part of the ownership management, we're looking at things like doing security hardening, also remote device attestation, making sure the device is in a secure state, as well as allowing the different ownership models where you have a single device with multiple owners or multiple devices with single owners. So a single device with multiple owners could address things like an enterprise scenario where you have lots of people using the same device and you want to know who's actually using it. As far as the data management goes, how to control the governance and provenance, we looked at things like identity privacy, zero-knowledge proofs, homomorphic encryption, secure multi-party computation, as well as this proof of processing of it at its origin. So the idea is that you can, for example, provide a third party with cipher data, so they don't actually get to see your original data in the clear, and then they can perform computations across the cipher data, create a new piece of data. For example, let's say they average a variable across a bunch of sensors, and then they see the new result, but they never actually see the original data in the clear.